All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to class. Okay, so our last class, we talked a little bit about laws and customs, right? We all remember that, of course. Now, today we're going to dive into democratic ideas. And some of the earliest mentions of this idea, this thought of democracy, can anyone tell me where we might find that? Kevin.
Maybe like Greece, or at least.
Lovely answer, and guess what? That's where we're going to take a look at. So Plato is actually one of the earliest references that we can go to. He talks about democracy and really a few different types of it. So just a quick overview of our objectives before we dive fully in. We're going to explore the development of democracy and representative government. We're also going to review a few key terms. Okay. And then we're going to discuss the role of the individual within society and why that's so important. Ultimately, what we want to do is trace the development of Western political ideas and the rule of law and the illegitimacy of tyranny. Tyranny, what's tyranny? Well, let's talk about it. Okay, so democracy and other forms of rule. This first one here, can I get a volunteer to read? Ashley.
Democracy is the government in which the love of honor is the ruling principle, that is, honor from victory or triumph in battle.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Great. This is a term that we don't really use today, all right? But can anyone think of a model that might fit timocracy or a timearchy? No? Great. This is what I'm here for. I'm an educator. All right, this is what I do. All right. The folks that Plato more than likely had in mind at this time was Sparta. Okay? Granted, this is Webster's dictionary definition of a timocracy, and that is this love for honor being the ruling factor. But particularly in Sparta's case, this love for honor came from battle and fighting, right? Sparta was a very regimented society, in contrast to Athens, where Plato would have been residing. Also, we want to think of some of the things that may have been going on during this time frame as well. This is pre-Peloponnesian War, which we'll talk about in future classes, but this is something to consider. By the way, Plato was writing this around 5th century BC. Okay. This next one here, a volunteer? Frank.
Oligarchy, government by the few, best, highly skilled.
Yes, an oligarchy. Now, a lot of times, at least what we read in ancient Greek texts, is Sparta referred to as one of these. Okay. It's not a full-on democracy, but it is ran by a small group, right? But these highly skilled groups of people in a Spartan society, who do you think might be a part of that group? If you're thinking generals, you're right. Okay, so this next one here, we love this one. Consuelo.
Democracy, a government by the people or majority.
Lovely, lovely. Why do we love democracy so much here?
We like it because we think our voice is being heard, that we have a say in how we're being ruled.
Nice, nice. I love the way you put that. Like, we think we have a say. Okay. Yes, Nate.
I was going to say it also is a direct, or it feels like a direct opposite to what your next form of government was going to be, and that's tyranny.
Yes, tyranny. since you're there, why don't you go ahead and read it?
Yeah. A government in which absolute power is vested in a single ruler.
What? What could be wrong with that, right? So what would be some examples of a tyranny? No one wants to say, right? Because the tyrant is watching over you. It's okay. It's okay. Ashley.
Oh, no, well, I was gonna say we think of like dictators and things like that
Yes.
when it comes to tyranny, right?
Indeed. I think of dictators. I think of we use terms like totalitarians, and even if we're thinking about, let's say, I don't know, the American Revolution. Okay, in that case, we're actually thinking about monarchs, right? Any particular monarch?
King George.
Ah, someone has watched Hamilton. Okay.
Thank you.
So, representative government. We'll talk about that for a little bit, because this is really what Consuelo was getting towards, what we want to see more of, right? This idea of people having a voice, or at least your representative having a voice, or carrying your interests to the place where we're going to make decisions. Today we have what we call the House of Representatives, which will be an example of representation of the many, right?
Democracy.
Yes, very good, very good. Thank you, Frank, gold star. And we also have senators, which up into a certain point, that was considered the few. Because how many senators did the United States have initially per state? Okay, we'll learn about this more. 2, all right, but we'll learn about that in our U.S. history courses. We're talking about the world right now and how that develops. And I love this piece, and I introduced this for this reason. Tribal chieftains, which we don't typically think about when we're talking about representative government, right? But I'd like to propose to you the Iroquois Confederation, or the Haudenosaunee, right? We're using their proper name. There they had particular chiefs, sachems, from each tribe that actually gathered together and made decisions for the whole confederacy, okay? These were representatives that were actually selected and chosen by a clan mother, who would be an example of a monarch, right? But it's interesting to see that mixture in play in a place that developed so far distant from Greece or Rome. All right. So, also we have an example here, elders, just to give you a even further historical example. This is biblical times. Elders, if you're familiar with Numbers, Moses actually appoints 70 elders, right, in the community of the ancient Hebrews, right? And you also have rulers, which he appointed over thousands, hundreds, 50s, and 10s, right? These are all examples of representative government. You like this little visual here? Does this help?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think we could be talking about in the form of deviant and correct? What's so different between the monarchy and the tyranny?
Maybe like
Nate.
correct would be serving of the people and deviant would be serving of the rulers.
Ah, very good. It's exactly what I'm looking for. Gold star for you as well. Man, you're a bright one. Okay, so, but we can see this, right? Let's take a look at democracy, though, in the form of many rulers. Now, direct democracy or anarchy. Direct democracy, this is actually a form that ancient Greece had, ancient Athens to be exact. And I have a video that I'll show you here in a little bit that talks a little bit about that. If I don't get to it in class, I'll assign it for homework. You can watch it on your way back home from school. But direct democracy would be an example of what? What do we have today that looks like direct democracy? There was something that happened in November, usually, oh, go ahead, Kevin.
The midterms?
Yes, elections or actual ballot boxes, right? One vote, one voice, one vote, one person, one vote. Yep, great, great. But anarchy would be kind of bad, right? It's everyone looking out for their own self-interest, which, when we're thinking about this historically, is what ancient Greece looked like early on. Like, it was all kinds of bad. Thucydides talks about this, right? Where it just, recklessness ran rampant until the Navy was established. Yeah. All right. We may not have time to dive into this particular video, but it's a good one. I'll send it to you all via email. And also the Iroquois. It's good to see those dynamics juxtaposed, which is an example of representative democracy. Social contract. So, are we familiar with the social contract? Consuelo, what can you tell me about that?
The social contract is like an unofficial, unsigned agreement between the ruler and his people. So if the ruler is good, fair, and just, the people are content and they allow his rule. But if he is tyrannical or abuses his power, then the people have the right to overthrow him and replace him.
I like it. I love it. Great how you worded that. And hopefully this little dynamic here kind of represents what you were just shared. But what would we say is the role of the individual in society? What do we think? Consuelo touched on it a little bit, but I want to kind of flesh that out some more. Yes, Ashley.
I feel like it's someone who like willingly obeys the laws that are in place. And then also in a democracy that you're participatory and that you're educated.
Beautiful. Wow. You should probably run for office one day.
Thank you.
Are you in
Mr.
student
Phillips.
body government right
I
now?
am. I'm in ASB.
High five.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
You got this. I want to talk real quick about some of the origins of these ideas, because oftentimes when we see the term social contract, we're thinking of maybe Rousseau or Hobbes or Locke, right? I'm going to go a little bit further back. Plato, again, gotta love this guy. But he writes this dialogue in which Glaucon and Socrates are having a conversation. And I'm going to read real quick just a snippet of that. And he says, "This is the origin and nature of justice. It lies between what is most desirable to wrong and avoid punishment, and what is most undesirable to suffer wrong